Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's show. We are running a little bit early today because our guests are 6 hours ahead of us, so it's not early for them. What are you guys doing? And I already have kids talking to me. This is why I don't do things during the day. What's on? Yes, you can have a snack. Okay.
That goes for everyone. Times. You may all have snacks.
This is why you need a horse, so your kid's out playing with the horse.
Oh, I have a puppy, but he's asleep.
Oh, no.
And he would be a bigger problem than the child if they were awake.
Well, hi, everyone. I'm Natty Nat.
And this is Argy Wolf.
Yep.
And you're watching Nerds and Heresy.
Hold on to your butts.
All right. Well, hello, guys.
Hello there.
Hello there.
Hello.
Yes.
I didn't say that right.
Well,
so how you guys doing?
Not bad.
Good.
Quite chill. Yeah.
Nice.
Just happened to catch both of you on a night where you're hanging out together. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Both of you.
Yeah. Luckily, I was actually still able to come here. I still had car troubles, but well, had to take the train in the end. So yeah, we got there eventually.
Yeah.
Cool.
So we've had TikTok Devil on the show before.
Oh yeah,
Satan. But I wasn't able to participate in that one. However, I'm very blessed to have TikTok Jesus here. So
as are we all.
Oh yeah.
So speaking of,
go ahead.
Speaking of which, anyone's watching, feel free to ask questions in the comments to any of our guests. Super chats would be great. I'll make sure to answer those.
Yeah.
Subtle, right? But I wanted to start the conversation with you guys are located in the UK, correct?
Yes.
It's not you're not dominated by religion over there, which is super weird.
Not particularly, no. I mean, we learn about it like at a young age and that, but like as you get older, it's like not really a main focus. So unless you've come from like a religious family or so, then you kind of like it's a little bit like Santa Claus, I suppose. You kind of grow out of it unless you're kind of raised in that sort of belief. A lot of people tend to explore, but it's not heavily sort of pushed in our country very much.
I love that you compared it to Santa Claus. Like sometimes
I try not to be very like rude about it, but like, it's the same sort of thing. Like the kids growing up, and eventually it's just
It's just weirdly most people here don't grow out of it.
In
fact, they become adults and use it to push policy about it. So
yeah. Well.
Can we ask what did you grow up with? Like what was your background? If it's too personal, you don't have to respond, but it's just curiosity.
For me, I mean, it was like, if anything, as a child, it was the Christian God, because that was what the schools taught us. None of my family have ever been really religious, so they never sort of pushed that on me. My family never really wanted to push anything on me. They kind of were the kinds to sort of let me explore my own sort of way, how I wanted to be, even if it was going to be things that they wouldn't have liked. They never wanted to be those sort of parents to say, no, you can't do that. Because I think they kind of understood that when you're that kind of parent, say you can't do this, you can't do that, your kids are just naturally going to rebel against that. So
what about you, Ember?
So my family somewhat are Christians in the sense that my mum and my nana and everything, they do believe in God and Jesus and everything, but they've never like pushed it onto me. Like they've just let me freely choose what I decide, and it's not like heavy in the household, if that makes sense. Like it's not talked about all the time. They don't go to church all the time. And again, it's sort of similar with Scotty. We've just been grown up to just believe in what we want to believe in. It's after like primary school, it's not really a thing, if that makes any sense.
It's like you teach it to kids because it's like, I don't know, when kids start thinking about things like death, afterlife and stuff, it's like you kind of want to tell them something to calm them down. It's kind of like that in a way, but once you get like a little bit older, they really don't. So, yeah.
It's interesting to think of it more like nursery rhymes than like actually
Kind of, yeah. I mean, back in like primary school, earlier years, we have like assembly and stuff. All the years come together for a bit of a talk or something with the headmaster. Then you have like your hymns, you sort of sing, even if it's religious songs or not. Half of them are, a lot of them aren't, but that's, yeah.
That's really interesting.
Interesting. Yeah.
What's it look like from an outsider's perspective, looking at like America and all of how just
Absolutely
what's it
bloody
look like?
bonkers.
That's not what I expected. Yep.
Insane.
I've seen a lot of different sort of perspectives on it. I've seen some very overly religious kind. I've seen some more open kind. But as similar, I mean, I've been to America twice, but the last time I was there, I swear I was like 11. So I mean, I'm supposed to be back in America in Florida around May time, because I'm meeting Jonathan Rivera from TikTok, and he wants to get me there for a MegaCon, and I'd like to go as the Jesus as myself there. But I have been warned a different level of few things there. I've had some people saying, "Be careful, Florida is an open gun carry state." Like,
You see, I went to America just before COVID kicks off, literally just before for the first time.
Yeah.
And I went to go and stay with Zach. Zach is Whack on TikTok and Instagram. And he was, when I went to go and visit him, and his friends were sort of explaining to me about the religion, and especially because I went to South Dakota, which is I was told is pretty close to the Bible Belt. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you say South Dakota?
No, it's described. I don't know that's described.
Oh.
I don't know.
No.
I don't know. Then. I was taught
There's a sect of religion around the Midwest in general. It's like a bubble, but then you have the Bible Belt all underneath it.
Yeah.
So you're not wrong. You were in a bit of a Bible thumper territory, but not necessarily.
Yeah.
I feel
Well, they were explaining to me the sort of like differences, and I thought, like, because I knew America were quite serious with a lot of Christianity and everything, but I didn't realize how much until I visited, and I was like,
yeah,
whoa, big difference.
How did you feel about seeing some of those billboards?
Jesus is coming back soon. Repent.
It's like,
a sin.
I swear it's the TikTok thing. How long is this going to take?
I don't want to like dwell too much on some of the subjects, but there were different billboards that were Christian billboards, but they were pushing different agendas and things, and some of it, looking at it, was a little bit uncomfortable, and I was like,
just
wow.
a little.
You never get that round here. I mean, you might get it one place here and there, but if you do, like 90%, like 99% of the public will walk past that, like, okay,
yeah,
it's not something pushed like that. Anything on that sort of level, it's just entirely different.
Yeah, very.
I'm sorry that your
That
first trip
sounds
to the
lovely.
States was South Dakota.
I've always wanted to visit I actually really enjoyed it. I've always wanted to visit the Midwest because
where were you in South Dakota? Were you Rapid City or?
Yeah, and
at least she was in the Black Hills. That's pretty.
The Black Hills is
like
pretty.
the country. It's so beautiful out there, and I got to experience like sort of to segue a little bit. I got to experience like what it's like where the ranches are and everything, and I've always loved horses and stuff, and experiencing that was really interesting, and learning about Native American history and everything was really interesting too. But it's a bit of a culture shock because of like not just with Christianity, lots of different things. There's a big culture shock in America when visiting. Like
religion-wise, I think for an Englishman for a Brit to stand in America, it's like walking into a parallel universe. But at the same time, a lot of like our media, like movies and stuff, it's all like made in America. So in a way, it's not entirely unknown to us, but it's weird actually being there and experiencing it like in first hand, if you like.
Oh yeah, that makes perfect sense.
Oh yeah,
definitely.
It's kind of a weird one. It's interesting, like having like still different like cultures like shared here and there, but there's a big sort of like misunderstanding of like how much we know. It's like I remember like years ago, I on like Xbox Live stuff, I got arguing with like a couple of Americans, and one was saying, "Oh, you British get really bad movies over there. You don't know any good movies." I'm like, "Excuse me, you realise that all your movies that come out, they're shipped worldwide. We get them as well. we're not we're not like that out of it. And they're like, oh, okay, have you seen this movie? Like, well, I've heard of it, but I haven't seen it. And he kept listing a load of films. Look, I'm a kid. I haven't seen all of your movies. All I'm saying is your movies get shipped worldwide. I'm a kid and I'm educating you on this. That's how the world works. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, people are just so wrapped up in their bubble and they can't imagine anything outside of it.
Yeah, there are some Americans that seem to think that the world revolves around America itself. Like, it is one of the most famous,
it doesn't?
most famous places in the world. But it's like that's not all there is to the world. There is an entire world out there.
How dare you, sir?
Dramatically different. Like, yeah,
blasphemy. Ironic coming from you.
Yeah.
Too much fun.
Oh man. So how did y'all? I'm not even sure where to go from here. How did y'all get into cosplay?
For me personally, I just always quite like dressing up. When it came to like fancy dress sort of parties and stuff, I always just like try to put like an off effort into it. And I got recommended by a friend at a Comic-Con, which at that point I had no idea what it was. I started doing it. I don't remember what year it was. I think I was like 17, 18 maybe at the time. And I went to one in London, really enjoyed it. My costumes were really crap back then, but no, I improved over time, made a lot of new friends, and just expanded from that, really. Don't know.
What?
So it's the same for me. Sorry.
No, go ahead. I want to hear your story too.
So it's similar for me. When I was younger, about 17 years old, a friend told me about it, and I was like, interesting. So nerdy stuff combined with dressing up in nerdy stuff, I like that idea. So from there, going to my first Comic-Con, I've just loved it since, and quite funny actually. Something that just came to mind that I didn't think to mention, but now we're on the subject of cosplay. American Comic-Cons are quite different to British Comic-Cons, because I did one in America at the beginning of 2020, and that as well is also very different. But yeah, that's basically
what's different about it?
Well, with our Comic-Cons, like there's a very set schedule kind of thing, especially with the MCM ones, isn't there really? Like,
I mean, I can't really compare. I've not been to American one yet. So.
Yeah, well, what I'm trying to say is, like, in our Comic-Cons, like, oh, we open at this time, close at this time, and that's when you all have to leave the area.
Is that not the same there? Or?
Well, when I went to, I can't say for all of the Comic-Cons, but when I went to KatsuCon, it was like, even when the vendor halls closed, it carried on going, and everyone was still interacting, doing photo shoots and stuff like that, in that sort of sense. Like, some of the stall holders as well was a little bit different. I'm trying to remember, because off the top of my head I can't remember everything. Like, stall etiquette was a little bit different as well. Like, with our Comic-Cons, if we stand in front of stalls, like, we don't get told to really leave if we're chatting. But in America, I've noted when I did the con, a lot of stall holders were sort of saying, hey, can you please just move along? Don't talk in front of the stall and stuff, which was I don't know if that's all Comic-Cons in America, but I can understand that because they're trying to, sell their stuff. Makes sense. Yeah. And I was like, I wonder why we don't do that in the UK.
You tend to find, I think you find that a lot with like both sides. Why you do things like that here? Why do you do things like there? I don't know. Like, I mean, I'm supposed to go to the MegaCon in May, so
MegaCon.
Yeah,
Florida.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
that one's a big one.
I went to one.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's going to be interesting for me, especially because I mean, with this year we did. Oh, no, sorry, last year now. We had the Birmingham Con and the London Con, and for me, like for London, the last time I went to that con, I wasn't even on TikTok. So coming back now, having like most of my growth was literally during the pandemic. So having like more time to myself and stuff, focusing on that, having most of my following build up, going to London, then I was known as the Jesus guy anyway, because that's where I started off doing the Jesus in the first place. Then I went to TikTok and started doing it. But then coming to London Con last year for it was just dramatically different. I felt like I felt like a celebrity. I was stopped like every minute or so everywhere by people recognizing who I was, because like my following in this country is actually very small. Out of 7 million people, only 6% of them are actually in this country. But if there's any group that knows me, it's the cosplayers. So London Con was the best place to go.
I actually noticed when I went to America, I didn't expect anybody to know me, like from TikTok or anything. The amount of people who did know me in America, like at KatsuCon, was crazy. I didn't realize like so many people in America, like Lost my
It's its own bubble. Cosplay is its own culture within America. It's well, most cosplayers you talk to, they were raised in a very strict religious background, and they escaped it, and this is their way of expressing themselves. And so it's weird because it's definitely like a rebellious stage that never goes away.
Like, what is it about like strictly religious families that tend to push their kids so dramatically far away? It's like, I swear, like a bunch of like America's serial killers came from strictly religious families. Ed Gein,
and they kept their religion. That's the fun
Yeah.
part. Is the serial killers are the kids that were pushed, and then they were kept in their bubble. They never escaped. So
Or they
had
become
to
strippers.
An outlet. No,
It's another common reaction.
So this Jesus thing, this whole Jesus thing, you say it like it was on purpose. Was it initially like, or what was the first time someone gave you an idea to be Jesus?
It was I was basically bullied into it.
Oh, this sounds like a story. I need to hear
It was
this.
never my idea to do it in the first place. Literally, like I was doing the Comic-Con. I mentioned I was doing it there before I did it to TikTok. I was just doing Comic-Con as anybody would, just doing my own cosplay and stuff. But because of the long hair and the facial hair and stuff, I kept getting. I had a particular sort of group of friends I shared a hotel with every year, and they kept like saying, "Oh, you should do a Jesus cosplay because of your long hair and beard." Like, see, for like most of about a year, I was like, "No, it's a silly idea. It's the wrong sort of place to do it. I want to do more serious stuff, you know." And after nearly a year, I gave in. I thought, all right, fine, I'll buy a cheap fancy dress costume and I'll just do it for a Friday or something. On that day, before I mention too much on this, what's this show like for language?
Oh, fucking say
Oh yeah,
whatever.
say fuck you.
Okay, that'll make it a lot easier.
These cunts aren't going to care what you say.
Yeah, this will make this a lot easier to explain then. Danny Filth from the band Cradle of Filth was there signing. And for those who don't know who he is the vocalist of black metal band Cradle of Filth. And for a bit more context on this, there was a picture that went around the internet of a Jesus guy in a costume at a music festival next to a guy with a band t-shirt. And on the back of it, it said, "Jesus is a cunt." He's just stood there, arms crossed, like disappointed. This was like all over the internet, everywhere, and it has been for years. So this guy, Danny Filth, is the vocalist of that band who's done that t-shirt design. So naturally, I had to meet him dressed as Jesus. And we had a photo, and he had this photo shared on like every social media platform he and the band
I'm pretty sure I
had.
saw that photo, actually.
Yes, I was stood there for like in front of Danny Filth right there, and he's like, yeah, it was funny. And it still gets circled around every now and then. It was in a couple of like metal news articles here and there. And I just sort of kept doing it. And then eventually I come to TikTok around 2019 because people were saying it's a good place for cosplay. Here's where we come back into the same sort of story again, where people start saying, "Oh, you should do Jesus for TikTok." And like, no, it's the wrong place. Like, I want to do more serious stuff. And eventually I gave in. I started doing my Jesus cosplay here. And eventually I thought, all right, fine, I'll do a video for it. And the same thing all over again. Actually, people liked it. And so I thought, all right, I'll do a couple more. Next thing you know, it's just a regular thing. And I'm kind of just known, and people are talking about me as that guy on TikTok who dresses like Jesus. And it's just spiraled from there.
I found it.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Oh, can I?
I'll send it to you.
Yeah.
Ricky.
I'm
Yeah.
sure.
It's very
How do I?
judging. It's pretty good.
Green.
Which one is that? Is that me or?
No, it's you. It's you.
It is me, right?
He's sitting at the table doing this.
The one at the music festival, that was a different guy. Gordy, I think his name was.
Yeah, that one's on here too.
Yeah.
But,
Where'd you send it to?
Yeah, so that was me in 2017 doing that.
Have you ever had someone come up to you dressed as Jesus, but then tells you that they're actually cosplaying you?
No, but I had a few funny experiences at Comic-Con last year in October. There was one who just sort of came up to me asking for a photo. Not sure if he knew who I was, but there was a second one who was dressing as Jesus in the bar we also go to afterwards when the event's closed. We were in like the outside bar area, and he looks at me from across the bit, and he's like, "Imposter!" And I'm just thinking, I beg your fucking pardon.
nice.
I'm the real one. It's like a Spider-Man moment.
Yeah.
Essentially on Discord.
Yeah, I was saying, I said like most of my growth has been during the pandemic and lockdown, so I haven't actually been out and about many places doing that. So I've been recognised a few places, but London was the main place where the people who actually know me were actually gathered. So in general public, I'm not really noticed.
I mean, actually though, last time he was at my house when we were out in Chester, we were recognised a couple of times. Like, do you remember that one guy? There's one guy that was like working for a fish and chip shop, and he was like giving out samples of chips.
There it is.
Oh, yes. Yeah, that's it.
There it is.
So that, guys, is my first day of actually doing Jesus.
That's
Nice.
so great.
Yeah, that is
that's
right
pretty
at the beginning.
I love it. It's literally one of my favorite pictures. But yeah, like this guy recognizes. He was like, "Wait, you're both on TikTok?" And we were like, "Yeah." And he was like,
it was
"Ember and Scotty." We were like,
it was
"Yeah."
a fun experience, that actually. Yeah.
Yeah. So we've been recognized together before. I've been
Yeah,
recognized on the train a couple of times, which was weird as well. But definitely more at Comic Cons.
Yeah.
Anything.
I suppose it's harder to be recognised in public when we've got to wear face masks and stuff at the moment.
Yeah.
But
it's normally my hair though. Like my hair
Yeah.
can give me away
my
sometimes.
the bar that I go to definitely know who I am. So yeah.
Sure.
I did a Harry Potter festival recently, and I got recognized there. And
Hey.
they had my asked for my picture. Let's see if I can find it now.
Nice.
I was gonna say, do we even have Harry Potter festivals here? Like
No, not so much.
It was a very small local one.
Okay.
We
So
have
it wasn't like
Harry
a
Potter
huge
Studio Tour.
convention.
Yeah, we have a little bit of a tour sort of thing in that, but like not an actual festival thing itself, I don't think. So
I think there's like some small events that I've heard of before, but nothing like
There it is.
big really. Which is strange, seeing as like it's originated here.
yeah, it's weird, but I mean, our events are never as big as like America's. It's like America is just on a different level when it comes to events, like
Sure.
or the Renaissance festivals and stuff.
Oh yeah, they're like I've seen the New York Renaissance Festival, like 'cause I know people that go.
Yeah, they
And it
look
looks
they
so
look they look
good.
amazing. Yeah.
There it is.
Ah.
Nice.
I was
Awesome.
I was running the stand back here selling things that I make. This guy was like,
Wow.
Captain Matt,
You and that
TikTok, can I get a
tie.
picture?
I know he looks all official. It's great.
He does.
We need to get you like a
He looks
long
too
haired
official. Stop
Lucius
it.
wig. No, I want him to cosplay as Lucius.
Stop sharing
Malfoy.
screen. There we go.
I think he would do great as Lucius
Yeah.
Malfoy if he just
I can pull it
Yeah.
off.
Yeah.
How long is the New York Ren Fair?
it lasts from May until it's a fairly long time. They do it every weekend, like throughout the summer.
Okay.
Yeah. I think when I was there for the jousting stuff, it was from July until August. But
Oh, wow.
I was there for like 2 months. But
The only one I've ever been to is the one that's in Arizona in Queen Creek, and it runs February to March every day of the week.
oh,
And yeah, it's insane.
We have like festivals that are similar, like Fantasy Forest and things, but we don't call
Yeah.
them Renaissance fairs.
No,
we
we
don't
have
call festivals.
medieval festivals,
Yeah.
but just different names and stuff.
does anyone
Yeah.
worry about the plague when you call it a medieval?
Oh, you mean like this?
There you go.
There it is.
That was just a few months ago.
I love
Oh,
how they've
right.
got like
It
Scotland,
finally opened back up.
London.
They have Madagascar in there too.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah,
It's a nice mix.
fair.
It's amazing how many places in the States are named after things from specifically the British Isles. It's
Yeah, I find
That's
it
super. I
funny.
wonder why that is.
It's like we've got Birmingham
Mystery.
over here. Then apparently you've got Birmingham in America as well. So
Alabama.
We have a lot of
We
them.
even have Flint.
yeah, we do actually.
Yeah, no, every state sends is it Springfield? No, Canton. There's a Canton in every state.
Well, I'm gonna look this up.
Yeah.
There's a Canton in every state. There's a Springfield in most of the states. There's whatever state it is, city.
Anybody know what SCA is?
Yes, it's a
I gotta-
society. Oh, go ahead.
I gotta say something to Canton. Does it count if it's gone?
I mean, if it was there at one point in time, I think it counts.
Yeah.
Canton, Montana was a small town in Broadwater County, now submerged beneath Canyon Ferry Dam near Helena.
Ooh.
Originally built in 1898 and was completely sunk in 1953.
Yeah, I don't know why Canton is in like every state, but there is one. Don't know why.
Oh,
Interesting.
Anyway,
I didn't know that.
Okay, so what's SCA now? Because I'm confused.
It's the
curious.
Society of. Oh shit! Hold on, I'll remember it in just like a split second.
I'm lost on that.
It's Society for Creative Acronism. So basically, it's historically accurate cosplay.
Oh, okay.
So
I'd like
people
to do some of that. I mean, I have like historic bits here and there, but it's like from whatever I can get a hold of, not necessarily strictly accurate or anything.
I have
So
with a Victorian dress before, which is was made from materials what would have been made back in the Victorian times, but not really. I have a cloak as well, which I've just posted on my Instagram, which I got from the Fancy Forest. Actually, there was a lady there that made historically accurate like clothing from the fabrics that would have been used during those times, and I have a cloak.
Oh, that's cool.
But that's about it. I don't have much else because it can be quite expensive.
Well, it's
Yeah.
not just the outfits though. They actually do things. So SCA will do events like baking. They'll create a pop-up like bakery, and they'll do everything like hand mill flour in front of you and bake bread and do all sorts of things like that. They will have they'll have ironwork and blacksmiths going. They'll have, but like not using any torches. It's always charcoal. And I mean it's it's like walking. I mean, it's kind of funny because a lot of time it takes place like in a city park, so they'll have cars driving around you.
Right. It's like have a bit of a glimpse into like what it was actually.
It's a little
like,
bubble, yeah. I know. I went with the Adeladdles that we made a long time ago, and targets, and I had people try to throw Adeladdles just for funsies. Our archaeology club in college would go to these SCA events and set up booths to show lithics and various historic inaccuracies that are like common, like people think it's common knowledge, but it's actually not.
Yeah, it only takes like one sort of main source to say one thing, and it becomes common knowledge, even when it gets sort of debunked afterwards. I was talking to Ember about this yesterday, about some things that I see online, which I did once believe, but I know that it's completely false now. But it still gets spread as like facts.
Is it because ArchaeoWolf told you it was fake?
No, actually, one example actually.
Your ears are red.
I mean, one I actually mentioned yesterday. It's actually Jesus related. I keep seeing is when they keep saying, "Oh, did you know the image of Jesus is based on Leonardo's gay lover?" Like, no, it isn't. Oh, sorry. No, I liked the idea at first, and I started spreading it myself until I actually tried to look for a source on this. And I just found I was actually talking shit. It's by it was written originally by Alexandre Dumas, a French fiction writer. Besides that, we've got nothing to say for this. If you actually try and go online and look for is Leonardo gay, you'll find lots of things to sort of debate this one, but this doesn't come up because it's not historical. There's no historical stuff about this. But I have noticed some people have suddenly started jumping the story to Michelangelo all of a sudden, because I think he was gay. And he did images of Jesus, but if I try and find a full story on this one, it only comes back to Leonardo because that's where the story came from, and it's not actually historically accurate. But people spread this one; they always get the likes and stuff. That people will take it in as fact. I try and debunk it. I try and explain it's not true. There could be some truth to it, but this only source we have on this is not valid. So, but no one wants to see it. No one wants to hear it.
No, because they like the story because it's fun.
Yeah.
Notice how the story jumps.
It's great to bite back at hateful sort of religious people, but it's just I like to actually be truthful with history because it's I don't know. I think it's important to actually know it in context, like actually accurately.
Yeah.
No, but yeah, Archaeology brings up a good point. It's like notice how instead of just saying it didn't exist, they're going to jump it to another source or another historical figure because they don't want the story to go away. They just want to give it another another anchor to launch off of.
Yeah, exactly. It's a shame, really. You get a lot of sort of things like history-wise that one person says one thing, it sounds very PC for today's standards, but we're talking history. no matter how better it was compared to like Christian Europe in medieval times, it's just not going to be the perfect sort of like utopia you think was back then. It's just not. There are better things. There are admirable bits about it, maybe, but it's just not admirable to us today. They still had a way to go, and that's what people don't tend to like acknowledging when they like this history sort of stuff. I don't know.
Yeah, it's a bit of a unique problem. I'd also go after other atheists who cling to these dumb conspiracy theories. They'll say things like Jesus was invented by Rome. I'm like, no, that's really dumb.
No. The Romans literally had written documentation about a man, not Jesus. It wasn't that name, but there is a man they wrote about. Did he rise from the dead? No, I doubt it.
Yeah.
But the fact that there was a man who people were following, was he crucified? Yeah, there is Roman documentation of that. But
there's a lot of people
else.
that were crucified, and somebody
exactly.
followed them.
Yeah, it was a standard procedure. He wasn't a one-off, but this one man, which they vaguely talk about, he's there. But it's ancient history. There's very little we actually have to go by on that. So yeah.
I love that this is like literally one of those. It's ancient history because it's actually ancient history.
Yeah. Yeah, it's fascinating looking at it, but yeah.
We all have to remember that the Roman Empire is not a thing. And
right.
Yeah.
I got called out on it.
Yeah, she came after you.
Yeah.
Now Nat has to go through the rest of her life knowing that dirt isn't real.
No, the dirt. No, knowing that the dirt, like I can't tell the difference between dirt.
Oh, I thought.
Yeah, you can.
I thought she said that.
No,
it's
she
not
says
like
I can't.
it's
So
not
I'm
they're
too
all
naive.
blind because it never existed. Like,
Right. So
we can all go to bed on this one now. It's all been debunked.
Dirt's all government drones.
right. No, it's she goes on to say it's like, well, she doesn't seem to know much about coins, which automatically dismisses my intelligence, which I don't appreciate. But then she goes on to say, like, she says the word context as if it's a religious sacrament, and that makes her a bad scientist because obviously she can't be unbiased about this thing.
It's
and
the
therefore
Pompeii one though. It's like, have you not seen the bodies? Jesus, like.
She's gonna say, like, I have the coins, but she used it as a jumping off point to talk about forgeries in museums and how there was a factory in Manhattan that used to produce dust and dirt to go on documents and things to make them seem real and help with the forgeries that would get sold throughout the world.
So when
looking at pictures and saying, "There's no weathering on this stuff." It's right there, you nincompoop. Just
like.
What was that, Morgan?
I was going to ask, when does she present all of her amazing findings that are going to upset the rest of the world?
Oh yes, yeah. So Morgan and I were talking. Can I tell them about this? Is that okay?
It's a TikToker, Momlennial, basically claiming that ancient Rome didn't exist, and all the historians, archaeologists, and all that are just wrong, blind, and stuff. It's a whole thing.
Embers like, what?
That's a whole thing.
Wow.
It's basically pissed off the entire history side of TikTok.
I was gonna say that.
Yeah, just
There are
wow.
conspiracy theory people that push like Graham Hancock stuff that are like, "Whoa, lady, pump the brakes. This is too."
Yeah, I remember back when she was claiming that Alexander
People that I don't
was a
like.
woman, and there was another TikToker, Alcibiades History, I think it was.
No, she's
I
the one that's
loved
pushing that
his
he's a
video
woman.
slamming her stuff on this. It was brilliant.
Yeah.
It was like claiming that, no, he was given a horse, Bucephalus, I think it was. Horse is a euphemism for sperm donor. I was like, no, horse is a euphemism for horse. This is the horse. Alexander the Great did not ride atop a sperm donor into battle.
I mean, it would be a hell of a story if he did.
It would have been a more interesting story, I think, in a weird way.
Good Lord. This
we
turned in from a history lesson to a kink lesson. That was very fast alternation.
Hey, yo.
Wow.
Nurse Heresy After Dark already.
Uh-huh.
That's what we call it when the show starts getting dirty.
Oh,
yeah, that's the kind of joke
it started getting dirty when I started talking about soil. Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
that's the same. The After Dark joke. That's the same joke I made because I used to do a show. It was like not exactly a podcast. It was a Twitch group call sort of thing. We called it Jesus and the Three Wise Hoes. It was me and 3 friends of mine, all guys who have OnlyFans accounts. But I was the only one out of the lot who doesn't have it. But we would occasionally sort of joke about me getting one and sort of do like Jesus-related content. And I had this sort of joke I keep sort of saying about how like, hi, welcome to Bible Studies After Dark. I'm Jesus Christ, and this is my penis.
I love this.
But I wasn't going to do that, so I've called my Discord channel the Holy Fans instead.
There you go.
Saw that, which is fucking brilliant. I love a good pun. I'm a dad, so I love a good pun.
Yeah, we have a podcast we have at the moment. We call it the Lad's Supper.
The Lad's Supper, nice.
Yeah.
Chef's kiss.
boy.
It had to have a Jesus pun in there, of course.
Of course.
Nailed it.
All the Jesus puns. So, what did you cosplay prior to? Like, what different characters have you cosplayed prior to choosing Jesus and turning yourself into Jesus?
You want to talk for a little bit there?
I haven't cosplayed Jesus yet. So.
No. What have you done
Well,
prior to
no,
Jesus?
just what
I mean,
cosplayers have
I've
you,
been
like,
rambling here.
both of you.
You can chat for a bit.
Do you mean like just sort of characters I cosplay in general, or?
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, whichever ones are your favorites. I mean, it's just like talk about the characters you choose. Why do you choose them? And like,
Well-
which ones work best, which ones don't.
I mean, me and Scotty have like similar interests in the sense that with cosplays away from Jesus, we both do like Renaissance stuff and different things. We did pirates today, but my TikTok and my Instagram and everything is very full of like characters from games, animations. People normally know me for doing slightly weird cosplays in the sense, for example, one of my latest ones was a human version of Stitch from Lilo and Stitch. Like I do stuff like similar to that, and I've always kind of done stuff like that. One of my very first cosplays was a human version of Toothless from How to Train Your Dragon. So that's the kind of stuff that I do with my cosplays. I do characters like Disney characters, sort of princesses now and again. I'm looking to do Merida soon. So that's the kind of stuff I do with my cosplay, and it's basically been the same really, but I just like to find like slightly unconventional characters that people normally wouldn't cosplay and cosplay them and stuff like that.
Which one's your favorite that you've done?
It's so hot. I've done so many characters, but my recent favorite definitely is Stitch. I love cosplaying Stitch. He's so
That was a really good one. I saw that one.
Thank you. Good Stitch impression. But
that was
yeah,
rather on point.
that was pretty good, yeah. But yeah,
I
he's been my
used to in
favorite.
school.
He's been my favorite at the minute. Overall, I normally always go to either Judy Hopps or Toothless. Like overall, the past sort of so many years I've been cosplaying.
I showed my wife when I was like, "Oh, Embers coming on too." He's like, "Do you know who she is?" And she was like, "I think so." And I pulled up your Stitch because she likes Stitch. She has a Stitch tattoo. She's like, "Oh yeah."
Amazing.
That's the thing when you find with like TikTokers in the UK, cosplayers especially, our audiences is majority of our audience is going to be in America. It's just always the case, just naturally.
Yeah.
It helps when the content you do relates to like more people around the world language wise. So English, you've got America who can at least understand us to a point with the accents and stuff. But
we like your accent.
I was gonna say,
you guys mistaken for Australian half the time. But,
I'm Australian. I'm like, no, I'm British.
We're like, are you Scottish? No.
no. No.
But no, I couldn't nail that accent.
You can't do a Scottish accent?
I would butcher it.
I have to spend a little time with a few of my relatives, but I can throw it on after talking to Granny for a while. You just have to talk to her for a while, and she's just, it's so thick that I can't help but mimic it. But that's because I fall on the spectrum and I have ADHD, so I naturally mimic the accent of the people I'm talking to. So yay.
Like if I was watching a Frankie Boyle or Count Dankula, yeah, I'll try it. But
Oh goodness.
Yeah. I think cosplay wise myself before Jesus, I was mostly doing pirate stuff basically. I mean, I started off asking people like who could I sort of pull off really with like my sort of like style, whatever. And I had like Orlando Bloom sort of thrown out more often. So I was thinking, do I do Legolas or do I maybe try like Will Turner was the one I went for. He had like more of a little mustache and a bit of a goatee thing.
Yeah.
That was mostly my style for a while, and it actually quite well with it. I had a lot of fun. What else did I start doing? I did a Joker at one point.
Esmeralda.
I did a male Esmeralda at one point. I've done Lara Croft, although we joked around different names of that one. We did it was like Tom
Lawrence.
Raider instead of Tomb Raider, Larry Croft, Barry Croft, Womb Raider, which we didn't go with in the end. Yeah, we didn't go with that one in the end. But
Parody.
I did a Poison Ivy as well.
Oh, nice.
Being Poison Ivan, I suppose.
If Poison Ivan has to have a Russian accent though. Like it absolutely has to be
Yeah,
like
it
Eastern
would have
European
to have
Russian
had a Russian
accent.
accent or something on that. Yeah.
Ivan will make you very green. We will make you
Yes.
bloom.
I
Become
know,
very,
but,
very strong flower.
Oh, wow.
But yeah, I've done a couple of like Disney things as well. I've done Flynn Rider before. I like my pirate stuff mostly though. Of my OCs, I've spent a lot of money on those because I do the pirate festivals. So I've spent a lot of money on that gear over the years. I was literally this weekend we were invited to like a pirate night at a club down in Bournemouth, but it's like way down south. And we've just had Christmas. I've spent a fortune trying to get my car fixed, so I cannot really afford to go drinking way down south, get a hotel or something for a piss up.
Yeah. And I'm heading to America actually in a few weeks, so I have to be careful. Like funds rise as well.
Yeah.
Y'all done
our festivals and stuff otherwise.
Y'all done Mermaids recently, right? Fairly recently.
Yeah.
Mermaids actually.
Yeah. I don't think either of us can swim in those tails yet.
No.
No. I'd like to learn. It's a bit difficult because most public pools and that they don't have the license to let you use monofins, so it's hard to learn how to swim in those unless maybe you get like an Airbnb with a pool and get somebody to train you there. So I have my boss from the mermaid company, Book a Mermaid. She can teach me. It's just about the time and where we can actually do it. I've got another friend who does it in the sea, but that's entirely different because you've got the current and all that. So I'm not.
Yeah, that's a bit dangerous.
Not using that as a starting point.
No, not a good idea.
No.
Well,
so yeah, I've got the tail. I've done some photo shoots in it, and we'd like to have some mermaid sort of stuff. Have me as a merman, whatever, for the mermaid company. But we'll see, because I'm also one of the only pirates they've got. So I usually do my Captain. That's literally where my Captain Barracuda pirate comes from. A lot of people know it from TikTok, but they don't realize that that's actually for my company. Well, not my company, but it's Book a Mermaid.
So I have an ongoing question. It's kind of a tally with a friend of mine who follows you a little more religiously than I do. But he says that the bat that you use in a lot of your videos, I'm constantly telling him it's a cricket bat, and he thinks it's a regular baseball bat.
It is, yeah.
It is a baseball bat. Okay, well then I was wrong.
In our country, it's actually more of a flatter sort of paddle, if you like.
Yeah,
it's got a flat side. Yeah,
it's kind of hard to see.
Like, it's a prop, but it's just a baseball bat. So
okay, so I'm wrong. That's fine.
Originally, the one I was using, it came from a Casey Jones cosplay for Ninja Turtles, and that was a baseball bat there. And because I just had it, I was using that. Then I bought a bigger, better sort of one for it. So it is an American baseball bat.
Okay.
But yeah.
It looks like squarish on.
Yeah.
But it's fine.
Yeah, a cricket bat looks a little bit like a mock waddle without the blades on it.
Yes, it's a one-sided kind of thing. It's got more of
the shark's teeth
sort of
tied to the
on the
sides of
back, but yeah.
Yeah, it does have kind of a concave on the back.
As cool as it would be to use it, is it Macawaddle? Is that how you pronounce it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I love like the design of those things. I've heard so many pronunciations in the past of that one. Like, yeah. Yeah.
Of course, somebody's going to come up and tell me that I'm pronouncing it wrong because lots of people seem.
Yeah, it's Macawaddle.
Yeah, I can't remember the guy's name. There's a guy on TikTok who literally does like sort of outdoor survival and stuff, and he keeps going and asks, "Can you make this?" Yeah. And he just makes it. He literally just recently made one of these actually in his video, obsidian shards and all that. It's brilliant.
He's so cool.
He follows me.
Yeah, we're working to get him on the show. Hopefully,
he might be like the biggest content creator that follows me.
Cool.
It's so relaxing to watch his videos. Like I could watch his videos for hours, just making things.
You can watch the same video for hours.
Yeah, every new video he puts up, he sends it to me.
Right.
Yeah, he does that to me too.
So
Damn.
I've actually just recently followed somebody, not exactly similar things, but I forgot his username. Someone else who he makes like cooks things outdoors and things. He lives in a cabin with his dog, and he lives in Canada. And he does like these really relaxing videos, being like, "Oh hi, welcome," and like if you're having a bad day, it just really cheers you up. I've forgotten his username, but
That's the thing with TikTok. It's like you remember like nicknames and stuff, but like
There's someone that's, I think he's in California. I want to say San Francisco, that says like come on an adventure with me. Too bad you're coming. And then he goes out and, and he goes and you go out on a hike with him, and like you get to like your destination, and he'll like pour out some coffee and like cheers takes a picture and like drinks it, and he's just like, thanks for coming on this adventure with me, and like he'll like show like the like beautiful photos of these hikes that he goes on, and I need to meet this person, and I need to go on a hike with him.
Yeah, I'd like to explore more sort of like places like that. It's like northern of England at least, or even Scotland rather, to see some places like this. Because where I am, I'm right in the middle of the country. It's just flat land. You got fields and stuff, but nothing sort of cliff like or anything. Just
we did want to go to the Druid. There's somewhere in the UK called the Druid ruins, which we want to
Oh,
visit. We have some interesting locations like that, which is not actually that far from me. I don't think. I think it's like an hour from here. But yeah,
not
like
too bad, really.
We have
Otherwise, Wales is quite good for just
yeah.
hiking in general. They got some beautiful like sites there.
Oh yeah, like I don't know if you guys knew, but I'm actually Scottie's English. I'm actually Welsh. He's in Wales at the minute. But yeah, we've got some lovely like places for hiking and everything in Wales. Like loads.
Yeah, you do. Yeah, you do.
One day I will be able to go visit. One day.
Oh, it's definitely, honestly, Wales has some, especially in North Wales, we have some beautiful, like Conway Castle in itself is amazing, and Conway in general, isn't it? Like we have the smallest house in the world. I'm not sure if it's still the smallest house in the world, but we did have the smallest house in the world in Conway.
We have this like sort of old sort of like English stereotype of like English hating the Welsh and all that, but Wales is a beautiful place. Like I've seen very little of it, but from what I have seen, it's just like wow. We went to a place at Fairy Glen, I think it was, for a bit of a photo shoot.
Glen.
Yeah, it's beautiful there, clean rivers and stuff, which I'm not used to seeing. But then coming home from that, I had to sort of circle round, and we were going along the beach of Conway, and it was just a lovely drive, honestly.
The Fairy Glen felt like a fantastic.
Have you ever thought of having Jesus visit the countryside?
A show.
A show of Jesus visiting different locations across the country and being like, wow, my people.
My people would have loved it here. I don't know, that could be interesting.
Yeah.
I'm intrigued by the idea because it gives you an excuse to go travel.
It does.
Yeah. At least no one's going to be like looking at me like pointing fingers or anything like that in the costume.
And if you're on TikTok
I mean,
and you're getting your
they
income,
do just be like, yes, I'm back. You're welcome.
write it off on your tax.
Yeah. It could be interesting, actually.
You ever need anyone to film for you? If you visit here, I could always just film for you. Be like your
True.
cameraman.
This is a nature documentary with Jesus. I don't.
Jesus is bringing you here to talk about Stonehenge and why it's
that's one I need to visit, actually. So
I've never actually been.
You'd be a great tour guide.
It would I would watch the shit out of that. I'm not gonna lie. Shit, I would fly over and help film that. That sounds like something I would do.
That's just sparking different ideas in my head now. Like me as G's like commenting on Christians, like homophobic sort of comments.
Yes.
And here we see a so-called Christian being a homophobic cunt. Just I don't know.
All right, well, this needs to happen.
I would definitely.
Do you have street shouters?
If I did that,
like
though.
in the UK, do you every now and then do you come across someone that's like super Christian telling you like repent your sins, Jesus is coming, that kind of thing?
No.
Well,
You will find that in the US, and you need to dress as Jesus, approach them, and film it.
Well,
Yeah.
do you actually?
We get the odd one here and there. I've seen it,
like
but
when they're like stood giving out the
yeah,
like
You
stood in
do-
cities.
tracks.
you occasionally see people on the streets handing out little pamphlets and stuff, but they're like very small groups. And we do sometimes get like people from America, usually the Mormons, coming over, like inviting you
Shocker.
to like, a session with them somewhere elsewhere. And they're very nice people, so you don't want to be like very blunt and say no.
It's
but
absolutely be mean to them. It's part of their shtick.
Story about that.
Oh,
I've heard. One thing I've heard is that they don't know it, but the people who sent them do know exactly what's going to happen when they're sent out there. They come out here, and the people who sent them know they're going to be rejected by literally like 99% of people out there. So when they come back, they're going to like feel like they failed. They're going to feel rejected by the world because of what they're trying to spread love. They'll come back to like their church. I mean, oh, it's okay. We care about you. It's the tactic that they use to make sure people don't leave.
Absolutely is.
Oh yeah.
It's not what I thought about before, but I've read this online. I think, shit,
There's
that's dark.
There are two one's kind of comical, one's a little bit horrific instances where in the 1800s Mormon missionaries went to England and they actually converted quite a lot of people and brought them over. And the first time, the first instance, and this is actually really interesting because you can see it archaeologically in Utah. And one of my professors during my undergraduate work actually wrote a paper on this. Is that I think it was in like 1852, there was a bunch of Mormon missionaries went over to England and they converted an entire ceramics factory. And I want to say it was in Coventry somewhere. But they converted this entire ceramics factory. All the families, everybody come over. And the idea apparently had been that, well, not everybody who's in Utah or what is going to become Utah knows how to make ceramics. And this was an attempt for the Mormon state to become autonomous from everybody else. They don't have to rely on bringing stuff in. So what they did, though, is the church showed up and they had all of these settlements and communities, and they split the factory up, all the personnel from the factory and all the families up along this strip of landscape, with the idea that each village is going to be autonomous and be able to make its own ceramics. Here's the problem, though. Not everybody in an assembly line knows how to do everybody else's job. So they had a village that was full of people who knew exactly what kind of clay to find. And that was it. And then people who knew exactly how to throw the clay and make pottery, but not where to find the clay and not how long to cook it. And then they had a whole bunch of people who in another village who understood firing temperatures and the kilns and everything, but they didn't know where to find the clay and they didn't know how to throw pottery. So it was this kind of we've made a mistake.
Sounds like just a disaster.
Yeah. And then the other one is a really very kind of a covered up, not well known instance is the Williams handcart disaster.
Oh shit, I forgot about that.
Oh, that sounds familiar.
Oh my god.
So again, one of these instances where a bunch of missionaries went out, converted a bunch of people and brought them over. And all of these people spent their life savings to get to the Americas, fine, and to essentially get to St. Louis, Missouri, which is the jump off point for the Oregon Trail and all of the immigration out west. By the time everybody got out there, though, all these converts had spent all of their money. So they had no money with which to buy livestock, namely draft animals, to pull their wagons. So, but because God is leading them, they bought big wheelbarrows, hand carts, and they started walking. And it would have been a fine idea, except for the fact that they're going as fast as the slowest walking member, which is not what the wagon trains were dealing with, because if you had old folk or young folk, you could put them in the wagon. So by the time they actually got right on the Montana-Idaho border, and you would have been 4 or 5 hours drive from where this happened when you were in South Dakota. They got snowed in into a big mountain valley, and they starved to death and had to eat each other. It was a 60% mortality rate.
Oh my god.
Yeah, that's
Yep.
one of those stories that fascinates the shit out of me, because think about the psychology they were going behind. They've converted. Their God has sent them. They are now trapped, and their God is now telling them, in order to survive, you must eat my other members. Think about that. How fucked up is that mentality?
See, like I've not studied history or anything. I still find it very fascinating. But one thing I like about history is like the things we may never know, the things we can only sort of wonder about. So like the psychology behind the people back then is something that does kind of fascinate me. Like, I mean, one of my favorite stories, or naval mysteries, is Franklin's Lost Expedition.
Oh yeah.
I love this story. I don't know what it is, but the first time I looked at it, it was like an old documentary that we didn't know much about. But then I found out, oh, we've already found the first ship in 2014, the second ship in 2016, and now we've got this whole new book by Michael Palin about this. I've read the book several times over. I love the mystery to it, but still thinking back to the mentality, the psychology of these people back then. It's weird to imagine. They turned to cannibalism back then, and obviously this is like Victorian England. Cannibalism, it's not just the fact you're eating another person, but there's a religious aspect to this as well. It's like that's the most as they saw as the most unholy thing a man could do. These honorable gentlemen wouldn't dare do such a thing. Like, I don't know. It's
I can't remember what year it was, but there was actually some of the clergy in New England, in Nantucket, actually wrote it into their own church bylaws that cannibalism was acceptable in survival situations because of the whaling ship Essex.
all right.
Have you read Moby Dick?
I want to actually. I haven't, but I want to actually.
Well, Herm Melville did he actually spend time on a whaling ship, Nat? Do you recall?
No, I believe he heard stories and like did a lot of research, but I don't think he was actually on one.
Well, his character Ishmael is the story of the Pequod and Ahab is based very loosely on the whaling ship Essex, which, I mean, the whaling, when you look at it, it's let's get in a little open boat and stick pointy sticks that you cannot pull out with a rope on it into animals that weigh 20 tons.
I lied.
And they're gonna run
he was
away.
on the Ashnet. He was on the Ashnet for 18 months, which is a fishing and whaling ship. So I lied. Sorry.
But what happened with the Essex
myself.
is all the boats went out and they speared a bunch of sperm whales, and one of the whales that got stuck with harpoons was supposedly this big male sperm whale who decided he did not care for this anymore, and he attacked the ship
repeatedly over time,
crushed the hull in, the ship sank, and your 60 guys go into these little 3 open boats, and there were 3 survivors found 6 months later off the coast of Chile, and they had to resort to cannibalism. And one of the craziest things is that the second in command, who was the senior officer who survived, they actually drew straws, and the cabin boy drew the short straw.
Oh.
The cabin boy was his nephew.
Oh my.
And when he got back, it was this big deal of, not only was the tragedy horrible because not a single person in Nantucket went without losing a family member over the course of the whaling era. And then here's all of these people come back, and it was well known how they had to survive. Is it a sin? Big deal. And the church was like, you know what? If you didn't eat him, you would have died by your own hand, which is a sin.
Yeah.
So we're gonna, many Hail Marys, and you get to scoot by that.
Damn.
So
Well, Speaking of
But, yeah.
cannibalism, and since we were talking about the IT crowd earlier, y'all remember that episode where they go and they meet the guy who wants to eat them, and they get the whole mix up? Y'all remember that?
Very much so.
The guy puts out
Very
an ad
much.
like he wants to have dinner with somebody or wants to eat somebody, and then they mistook that for go hang out with him.
Yeah,
And
they're
they
very
had this
excited.
movie.
They're like, he invited
Yeah.
us to a dinner party. It's a
Yeah.
dinner party. We have to
But
dress
it was,
up.
but it was he literally wanted to eat them. Did you know that was based off a true story?
In Germany, I believe.
Sounds like
Yeah, it was in Germany. This guy actually put out an ad to have someone come and literally he will eat them, and someone responded and
Yep.
went there and let him eat him
Within
And
the
when
last 15 years.
Yep. And when they
Oh.
when they found out about it, they couldn't charge him because there was no crime against cannibalism in Germany, so he went free.
Yeah.
Cannibalism is a weird one in general. I mean, cannibalism, I think, at least in the UK, I think it's not illegal. It's obtaining the body legally that's the issue.
I was gonna say, Missouri's actually kind of in a hot spot right now because there were these two truckers that have been going coastline to coastline picking up women, and they were just recently found in Lebanon, Missouri. These two gentlemen had they've counted at least 13 body parts, meat products, from 13 different victims, but they've been truckers for over 30 years. So how many people have gone missing and have been eaten by these guys that are really close to where I live?
This is an
Yeah.
episode of Criminal Minds, is what this is.
Jesus.
Why are we talking about cannibalism? I mean, I'm okay with it.
Somebody
It's
doesn't
one of my
respect
favorite
It's-
topics
it's-
in
it's like
archaeology.
amazing
But
how dramatic you can bounce from one subject to another. Like
We went from Mormonism to cannibalism.
I mean,
Well,
it's not a far
It
fetch.
actually fits
Yeah.
perfect into Christianity with
such as
the
just
Catholic
how
Church
we just do.
transubstantiation.
That's just how we go.
Someone literally just popped up saying you're blowing my mind with these cannibalism stories.
Yeah.
So Ben actually, Ben has a very interesting comment about this, and I don't know if Archaeowolf knows much about this.
So
There's the statement that eating human meat
I've heard
causes a
this too,
disease
yeah.
that makes you go insane.
So there's been a lot of evidence that shows that eating the brain, you essentially get prions, which are the little parasites. This is why you don't eat predators.
Mhm.
This is why eating mountain lion or bear or something like that, you really have to cook the meat.
Yeah.
Because you get these little parasites that exist in the meat and they get in your brain, and you might go, you may live for 115 years and they won't cause a problem. You might hit 30 and drop dead. They don't know. It's kind of a ticking time bomb. But one of the things, and this actually became an anthropological ethics question, because there were peoples in Papua New Guinea who still practiced cannibalism. And the anthropologists are watching, observing. We're not going to say anything. But at a certain point, it was individuals of the social group were dying pretty much at a certain age, and nobody could figure out why. It was just why are these people dropping dead? They're perfectly healthy. Well, it turns out that all of these individuals had prions disease. It was always women between like 14 and 30. And why is this the demographic? Well, dare I say the chef tastes the meal before it's done.
So the women check it, and if it's undercooked, they're
They
the
were
ones that get
checking
it.
Oh,
And
okay.
they were getting sick. And it was still affecting men in the tribe as well, but at a lesser degree because of how cooked everything was. And it became a question of ethics. Do we say anything? Do we alter their worldview?
Yeah,
by
do we alter
saying,
their understanding of
"Here's the thing."
what they eat? And how
And-
long has it been taking place? Because it could have been going on a long time prior to ever witnessing it. So it might just
have
be a
gotten to the
religious
point-
aspect of life.
Yeah, it might have gotten to the point where it was actually part of the social fabric that you expect people to kick off at that age.
Yeah.
So, but it actually traced back to prions disease, which is what you get from
Damn.
eating brain matter.
Oh, geez.
They actually
Never
made
knew
it
that.
illegal
Right.
here. There's this little restaurant bar that is open every single day of the year, and COVID was the first time it closed in 140 years. They used to have a thing on the menu which was called "He Needs Them." That was the name of the meal, but it was brains and eggs, scrambled brains and eggs and hash browns and stuff like that. But what they didn't have it every part of the year, it only was available during the fall. And that's because the guy who owned the place would actually purchase the heads from hunters who were harvesting deer. So it was venison, brains, and eggs. Well, with chronic wasting disease appearing more and more and more in the state, the Fish and Game actually prohibited the sale of the heads, and you're not allowed to
I've heard this story before.
harvest.
say,
And
Scotty,
then-
do you know what chronic wasting disease is? I don't know if you guys have that in the UK actually.
I've not heard of it before.
No, I haven't.
Okay, so it's a disease where it's kind of, I don't want to say it's like rabies, but it does act somewhat like rabies in the sense that
Like
it literally
Mormon.
drives the deer mad, and it makes them do things that they would never do. There are videos of deer just acting weird. People
Yeah.
like to throw out the term skinwalker when they see deer acting really funky looking.
Yeah.
Oh,
Because
okay.
I think
there's a lot of videos of skinwalkers on TikTok that are actually just
Yeah.
deer with chronic
Yeah.
wasting disease.
There is
Um,
one
Oh, right.
Yeah.
That's what that is. Right.
running
okay.
in a circle
Yeah, the one that was just running in a circle constantly.
on
There's
TikTok.
one that went for that was walking in a straight line, and it walked right into a river, and it couldn't swim because it can't function, so it just drowned.
Yeah, I have seen these videos and like never knew like what caused it. I just saw a lot of people like
Yep, that's chronic
Well,
wasting.
one of the
disease.
reasons is chronic wasting is they stop eating.
They just
So they essentially starve themselves, and they don't know they're starving themselves.
they don't sleep either, so they'll just
Oh.
keep going.
But it's a neurological thing, and it can be transmitted to humans.
Mhm.
And this is a. I mean, I only pay attention.
This is going to be the zombie apocalypse. This
It's like
is
I've seen
medical.
several different kinds of things that could be like zombie apocalypse, like the zombie snails and stuff. The weird, yeah. I've
It's
seen that.
a lot like mad cow disease.
Mhm.
Ah, okay.
right.
So, I pay
Yeah.
attention to it here in Montana because I'm a hunter, but
Because you eat venison.
because I eat venison, that's quite tasty.
I
But
swear if there is a zombie thing though, I swear it'll be us releasing it or something. Like, whether it's intended or not, like it'll probably be England or something. Like, there's a book out there called 52 Times Britain Was a Bell End. And there's one particular story in this to show just how utter bastards we can be. It's like in World War II, I think it was. We had a plan to release like millions of anthrax cakes on Germany for their livestock to eat and spread. We tested this on an island somewhere up north. I can't remember which island this was. It was very effective, but it nearly wiped us out when one of the bodies drifted out in the water and landed on our island. But we were planning on dropping millions of these on Germany to wipe out their livestock, basically poison the nation. The only reason we didn't do it was because it looked like Germany was about to surrender, and it would have taken us decades, maybe even centuries, to clear that mess up. That is literally the only reason we didn't do it.
I'm adding that to
Wow.
my list of books.
It's vile. But
Yeah, if
I'm
a
not sure if
zombie
you-
outbreak comes out, this house is going to happen. You're
I
going to have
would
over
think
here in
probably.
the States, we're
Only
gonna have-
52.
we're going to have
gonna
Fox
weigh in.
News say that
I was
it's
gonna
not
weigh in and
real,
say,
it's a hoax.
I don't think these guys know. Like I was speaking to a couple of Americans because sometimes you guys haven't heard of us. Well, I don't know if you guys have heard the term bell end before.
oh yeah,
Oh,
Oh, you
okay.
have, okay.
'Cause, like I've told some of my
I've
other
watched the
Americans-
original Top Gear.
yeah.
Legit.
It is a fun game when Americans and British start like saying like chucking out each other's like slang words and that, and you got to guess what it actually is.
Mhm.
It's a fun game sometimes, but yeah.
I learned all of my British slang from watching Jeremy Clarkson, Richard Hammond, and James May on top.
Oh,
Yeah.
That I will
my
admit
school
is my
basis for understanding British terminology. And
Yeah.
then living in Australia and New Zealand for a while, I got a whole other ball game of slang. So that was the combo is just beautiful because I will talk to my friend Ben and I'll hear him say something. I'm like, well, I don't think that means the same thing in Australia that it means in
No,
Britain.
it's like when Americans get offended at the word cunt or something. It's like, no, that's how we say hello. It's
Right, cunt.
yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, dear. It's like Morgan froze.
Wolf's frozen.
Oh no! All this happens. It's okay. He is literally in the middle of Montana, so he'll
No, he's just asleep.
yeah.
Probably.
It wouldn't be the first time.
I-
To be fair, if I was at my house, I think I'd have frozen like 3 times already.
I have actually new internet. Like it literally got installed a couple of days ago. It's super good. So
It's quite good,
that's
yeah.
why we're like doing pretty well.
Because I literally, when I was showing you that Matrix video, that was like 2,000 pixels I was going for, and it was like no loading problems whatsoever. If it was my house, like no, like my Wi-Fi cuts out like 3 times a night.
Yeah, we've just got some new internet in my house, so luckily it's
Yeah.
good.
What is? I am curious. What is the price of internet in the UK? I'm just. What's the average going price? Just curiosity, because we have capitalism and it's questionable.
It really just because we can get like bundles with our landlines, really, don't we? Like a lot of the time we do like deals, and like a lot of our landlines and things do deals.
Wait. Okay, I gotta pause you there. You guys still work with landlines?
Sometimes here and there, I think. Yeah.
Okay, so I didn't know if it was like just a popular thing to like still have a house phone or not.
Yeah, still use the rotary phones over there.
They do dial up.
Dial up internet. Oh god.
But yeah, we
Don't remind me of
Thank
those
you,
days.
Ben.
when we get at like a hub sort of like installed by the different companies, a lot of the time we get deals with phone,
like
phone and
Sky,
internet.
like Sky TV comes with Sky broadband,
20
whatever.
to 30 pounds? That's it?
A lot of the
It's
time,
not very good Wi-Fi. Literally, I think America literally has a higher like average sort of internet speed compared to us. We are very low,
Oh,
like worldwide.
I mean, I
Like,
pay
what's
almost
your average
$100 a month.
upload
for
speed
it,
megabit, like megabytes per second? What do you get on average?
Oh, I'm not even sure.
this is where I get
Yeah,
lost.
we-
This is
we-
where
we-
I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't
Over
know
here,
that.
we have an average of about 14, and it's said, like for streaming, it's said you're supposed to have an average of about 30 or something. I don't know. We have 14. We're like out of the top 50 nations in the world with like internet speed. We're like 49.
So I think I have a full gigabyte, and I pay about $100 a month for it.
Nice.
Yeah. Well, and you know what? I don't play video games or anything, so like
No.
I'm wasting it. I'm wasting what resources I have.
Here we go.
There we are.
Am I back?
He's back.
Yeah, there we go.
Hee.
How was your
Back
nap?
after 3 minutes.
Technology.
Yeah, we were gossiping about internet speed for some reason. We've gone from Mormonism to cannibalism to internet speed.
This is what's great about this show is we never know where we're gonna go. It's so much fun.
It's like a pinball machine or something. Boing, 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 subject to subject.
Well, it's run by two people with ADHD, so
I was going to connect your
So,
cannibalism
yeah.
conversation into Catholic transubstantiation.
yes.
Yep.
Yeah, where their communion, they literally believe you're eating the flesh and blood of Jesus. Like it turns into the literal blood and flesh in your mouth.
I had to point out for somebody recently in one video that got taken down, like, because I've been suspended from. Actually, no, sorry, no, that's a different video. Sorry, there was a guy who a while ago I made a video where I made a bit of a skit of Jesus, and I basically referenced the fact that he never mentioned homosexuality, at least in the Bible.
Yeah.
And somebody commented, except he did multiple times. Leviticus, Timothy, Corinthians, here, and there. And I made a whole video explaining, okay, first of all, Leviticus was written before Jesus was even born. That's ancient Jewish law. Second of all, you've got Corinthians, which the word homosexual wasn't even in there until 1946. Got Timothy as well. Well, that's written like 100 years after Jesus after he died. Like, if Jesus didn't say it, why does Timothy have like any authority over this? But then he finally recently made a video responding to this one, saying that I'm too fixated on what Jesus said. Well, yeah, that was the entire point of the video. But he says he's trying to be polite, and I'll give him like a credit for this one. But he basically points out the typical line how Jesus said, I come not to abolish the ancient law, but to fulfill it. And I pointed out, like, right, first of all, that line's taken in multiple contexts. The one you've used right there, and the one which is basically a standard teaching of the Bible that his sacrifice fulfilled that law. Therefore, you don't follow that ancient law anymore.
Yeah.
And second of all, like, it's ancient law. You can't just cherry pick it. It's not just the whole fact, like wearing multiple different fabrics, trimming your facial hair, eating fat, eating pork, and all that, but it also condemns slavery as well. So, are you cherry picking ancient law, or are you defending all of it? You can't just go with that. You either stand with all of it, or you leave it in the past where it belongs. He only responded to say that I'd misinterpreted. Because I made one point of 10:9, I think it was, of Leviticus, when I said, if you think wearing mixed fabrics is a problem, wait until you read 10:9, when it basically says that if your clothes tear, you will die, and God will be angry at the whole community. But there's also about drinking alcohol in holy places, which same thing. You will die, and God will be angry at you. Yeah, that wouldn't go so well for the Catholics, would it?
No.
Well, I'll just tell you that God has yet to knock me down. I'm wearing wool and polyester wool blend and denim. I have a bacon sandwich.
I think I'm just wearing wool. Yeah, I think this
and
is just.
I got my beard trimmed at the barber today. So
yeah. But it was, as I said in the video, I mean, it wasn't just written by the Jews for the Jews. It was written by the Levites for them. It's a more specific group. So you can't just adopt that law. You can't just like cherry pick one bit of law from that and say, oh no, we're not to participate in that activity. Like, oh, what about that law? Oh no, it's ancient law. Like, no, you've just used that law. You can't use one bit of it and then disregard the rest of it. Like, you can't have it both ways.
Yeah. Humans are funny.
Yeah. So I try and be like polite with it. Like it's funny to like slam back at somebody who's just being a hateful person, but this guy was actually being a bit more polite with it. Like he's saying like he didn't want to come off as like a gotcha. He just wanted to like try and educate and like take from it what I will and that. So I was trying to be respectful with it, but I did notice when I actually went onto his video, some of my fans had come over and were being a bit blunt. Like I even said in my video, I don't want this to go any further than it has to. It doesn't concern anybody else, but naturally, like I can't control what everyone's going to do.
Have you ever heard of A.J. Jacobs? He attempted to live 365 days following every rule in the Bible, every law in the Bible, and he wrote a book about it. And like his wife almost divorced him, but he couldn't allow it.
But doesn't the Bible, the laws in the Bible do change though? I swear it was, which saint was it? Was it, I can't remember which one it was. There was a saint, someone in there who said for, what's the name? Eunuch.
Peter.
People who had their genitalia destroyed, whatever. At one point, it said in the law that they would not be allowed into the kingdom of heaven.
Right.
But later on, somebody has a conversation with the eunuch, and he actually tells him, "No, haven't you heard that the law has changed? We can no longer exclude people using the ancient law anymore." I cannot remember who that was who said that.
That sounds familiar. I just thought I'd bring it up. I just posted the link to A.J. Jacobs' book in our chat. But
yeah.
It's just very interesting because he's the one that has convinced me that I want to live by one law in from the Bible, and it's just stone an adulterer. I've always wanted to just throw a rock at someone.
I mean,
to go into hell.
That bad news there. That's actually, that story is actually not originally in the Bible. It was added
It's so
in about the 3rd century.
I mean, the thing with like the Bible is that it's just a small like compilation of like other books. Like, yeah, it's a small compilation of bits from other books. It's like if the way I describe it is like if like somebody came up to me one day and said, "I want to learn about Batman, but I don't want to have to go through 75 years of graphic novels. Could you recommend me a handful?" So I say, "Okay, here's a collection I've got. Here's my favorite 5. This is the way I think Batman is best presented. Have a read of these lot." That's basically what the Bible
like
is.
finding the right
There's so much
vintage of
more,
wine.
so much more to read about. It's fascinating. So I mean, the infancy gospel of Thomas, I love bringing up because I love to just describe the fact that a young child Jesus at the age of 9 was Thanosing a bunch of kids.
Yep.
What?
And his teacher.
Yeah.
I'll be right back. Just
Yeah,
go
go for it. Yeah, literally. I mean, I want to read the full book properly, but literally, it's like the age of 9. He's by the river playing with a bunch of kids, and that purifying puddles of water into clean water, sculpting piles of mud into sparrows. One kid comes over, kicks a bunch of mud into his puddles, and Jesus curses the boy. I think he shrivels up and dies.
He withers him, yeah.
And another kid bumps into him, and Jesus curses him, and he withers away and dies. An adult comes over and says that your son is killing all these children. You should take him to school to learn to respect his other children and elders. I think, okay, that's a good idea. So they take him to school to try and the teacher's just trying to get him to just say alpha, just to learn the alphabet, and he's just staring at his teacher like a brick wall. And eventually he goes into some philosophical discussion like, I know the alphabet, but I know the nature of the alphabet. I know the alphabet better than you do. How can you teach me when you don't even know the nature of these subjects and that? The teacher basically gets so depressed that they kind of quits. So another teacher steps in, strikes Jesus, another philosophical talk, and Jesus curses the teacher and he falls over and dies.
This sounds like the little kid from Looper.
Yeah. I think the point of this book, I think the point of it was to basically suggest that even Jesus had a path to take before he became the saint we know him as. But you can imagine why it wasn't in the Bible.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, I will admit that I learned more about the Bible from Dadpool and Nat and anybody because I have never read it.
Yeah.
There's really no need.
I was like, I haven't read the whole thing. I'll be completely honest about that. Like I went through my confirmation. I didn't fucking read it. I went to my classes and I talked to my pastor and I asked him questions and he didn't give me good answers. And by the time I graduated my confirmation and got like my Bible with my inscription, like my name in it and everything, I was like, haha, fuck this, I'm gone.
Either way, like when reading the Bible, you have to take everything with a pinch of salt because of the way it's been changed and altered over the years. I mean, there's loads of things which we think about the Bible that was never actually in it. Like it never actually mentions that Jesus was born in a stable. It says he was born in a manger, but that's not actually saying a lot for what the time and area. In actual original language, it never specifically said that Joseph was a carpenter. It says basically the word is craftsman, which could mean a carpenter.
It's tecton. It means it works with your hands or work with your hands, something like that.
But the last time I threw this up, in the moment I kind of realized that in the infancy gospel of Thomas, I mentioned there is a story where Joseph he's basically altering a bed for some high civilian, but he notices that he has a plank of wood that's too short, but it's expensive, but he can't afford to get some more. He's like, oh no, what shall I do? Jesus says, oh, it's no problem, put it on the floor. So he expands the plank of wood. Joseph kissed him on the forehead, saying, blessed am I to have a son like you. I suppose it kind of is carpentry by that story, but it's like, which books do you take as canon, if you like?
Yeah.
Because you had the Gospel of Judas, which I don't think was regarded as canon after a while, but
no.
Was it even written by Judas? It wasn't. It was another story of Judas, written by Judas.
That was a late 2nd, early 3rd century Gnostics. So pretty much every gospel was written after the disciples died.
Yeah, that's the thing about it. Like if we're trying to write like about ancient history, well, hundreds of year old history, we go to Google. What do they have?
Yeah.
So
it's the
earliest
thing. The earliest book in the New Testament is 1 Thessalonians, written by Paul, and it's written about 20 years after Jesus' death. 20 years is the earliest writing we have. I mean, Paul quotes pre-Pauline
That's
literature
like
like
most of my
1
life right
Corinthians 15.
there.
I could date earlier than that. But yeah, and then the Gospels come around written 40, 50, 60, 70 years after Jesus' death. So yeah, the disciples are all dead by that time. You live to be 50 if you were lucky at that time.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, that's why I just think like it's interesting as literature, just not literally.
Yeah.
It's like you can quote Jesus, like Shakespeare, if anything, like by today's standards, a lot of the things he says and does, a lot of it, not all of it, but a lot of it's still admirable. We can still learn from it. But if you take everything literally, you're gonna have a bad time.
Yeah.
Yep. Even Paul quotes
lots of
Plato's
people
Republic
do that way too much.
multiple times.
I lucked out by not having much religion in my world growing up. And then when I actually did try to get into it, I was in high school, and I really very quickly was like, yeah, this is all. The principle is good. All the people suck.
Yeah.
Away from it.
I think my favorite part was that the pastor that was confirming me was a Korean Methodist pastor. So half of the English that he said was completely illegible. And like I just did not understand what words were coming out of his mouth. So I was trying really hard, but like the message was not making it through.
Funny story. I had a Korean chaplain when I was deployed to Iraq in 2009. In the Army, you're deployed for a year, and you get an R&R. You get to go back to the States for 2 weeks. Before you go back, you're briefed by the chaplain. Basically tells don't drink, don't kill anybody while you're home. Make sure you can come back. So our chaplain was very, very thick Korean accent, and he was talking about somehow satisfying your wife. That came up somehow, and he goes, when you make love to wife, you withhold your happiness until she achieves her happiness. And we're like, what? Sex is like the Olympics. First one done wins. What are you talking about? This guy's dumb.
Oh, fuck.
Wow.
This took a turn.
I win every time. Are you kidding me?
Where's Rachel? I need to give her a hug.
Nerds and Heresy After Dark.
Oh, man.
Still here.
Yeah. I don't know how much time I got, by the way. My kids are starting to get rambunctious, and it's dinner time anyway.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Wow.
I was gonna say, I think Ember's quite lost right now on this.
Yeah, I'm just no comment.
Rolling with.
I'm just like rolling with the punches.
Yeah.
Just along for the ride.
Withhold your happiness.
That's
As
how he
is
described it.
ordained by God.
That is how he described it.
You know
Yeah.
what? Your chaplain was probably one of the best people ever because he actually understood this. Like, bravo.
Oh, man.
I'm sorry. I'm still absorbing. I can't imagine my Korean Methodist pastor saying that. I just remember I would ask him, I was like, so what about evolution? He's like, not important. And I was like, but I think it is. And he's like, no. Bible tells you everything you need to know.
It's always a funny conversation with like the sort of evolution and all that. I mean, especially when it comes to like Noah's Ark. A lot of people, especially in this country, would not take that story literally anymore.
Oh, good.
Yeah,
that's good to
especially
hear.
Like a lot of vicars wouldn't. We don't teach that, I don't think. But there are people I've noticed American-wise who do try and take it literally or try and defend it.
Have you heard of Answers in Genesis and the Bible Museum? It's the Ark. They built an Ark.
I've not heard of that one, no.
Okay.
We have to send pictures now.
It's a life-size Ark museum. It's got animals in it, and it got flood damage.
Is it size accurate to what the Bible says?
They also built it. They built it in an area that is a natural floodplain, and 3 times insurance has not paid them after it's been flooded because they chose not to pay for flood insurance.
The floodwater damaged the ark, and they tried to get insurance to pay for it, and they were like, "Nah."
Can you imagine Noah back then doing this?
I
But no,
I
like,
love this
did
story.
you-
I made a TikTok about this last year in October, not this past year, but like a year ago in October, because it was the third time that the Art Museum had flooded, and I was like, people just need to know. Like
I made a video about a Noah's Ark at some point. I think it was last year or year before. I basically said, literally, the Bible said like a measurement was like 500 cubits, which actually makes it smaller than the Titanic.
Oh yeah.
There's actually a bunch of students at Leicester University in England who actually did the math to try and work out by the number of floors and the size how many animals you could actually fit in this. I think it was roughly around 70,000 pairs of animals you could get in this ark.
what size were they estimating?
That's the bit they didn't mention though. That's the thing. Literally,
Because
when you
There's
look
a
at
lot
like
of
how
microscopic things that could fit.
yeah, I don't know what they were. I don't know what they were
Let's
going by
talk
on
about
that. They tried to
fish.
give an answer for that, and that's what they said. When you look online, you've got millions of different species out there, and I've said like, yeah, maybe this wasn't maybe this wasn't exactly how it went. But I did have a few people on there basically saying, well, this was during the early start of creation, and I think, what's your point there? Are you saying that God wasn't finished making the world and its animals by then? Was he still going after the 7 days? Or there's one simple answer you could answer, which is kind of, what's the word for this? One answer for this one I say like, yeah, 70. Let's say it was 70,000 for the sake of argument, compared to the millions of species out there. Evolution could explain this one, because different like animals branch out different sort of ways. How like apes, we didn't evolve from apes, we evolved with them. So if you want to go back into earlier like sort of creation, fewer species, technically you could use that, but the creationists will never use that because they would have to accept that evolution is a fact.
They actually do use that. They call it
Oh,
macroevolution versus microevolution. They say macroevolution is real and micro is false. Or did I get that backwards?
Backwards.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I've
backwards.
not,
Okay,
I've not heard them use that one. I've only heard them like kind of like freeze up a
They
little
try
bit
to
on that
split
one.
it off, that it can only happen in small amounts versus big amounts.
Yeah, because 70,000 to millions is small amounts.
Right. Yeah, no. I was just informed by my British cohort has just informed me that there is a replica of the Ark currently moored in Ipswich.
No. Was it Ron? It wasn't Ron Wyatt, was it?
Yeah, Ron Wyatt.
Yeah.
Is it?
He's a guy basically. He keeps going
What
out
about
looking for like, artifacts like from the Bible, and he always tends to find them, including like the chariot wheels at the bottom of the Red Sea. No, you
Ron
didn't.
Wyatt's
Not
been
with
dead
scuba,
for
not with
20
scuba
years.
diving gear. You did.
It's not Ron Wyatt then. It's the other guy. It's
I thought Ron Wyatt was the Red Sea one.
Ron Wyatt was the
He
one who
was.
found the chariot wheels and
Yeah.
the Ark of the Covenant and one of the arcs. But there's another guy out there doing it now.
Yeah.
I can't think. Can't
No,
remember.
Yeah, because it was Ron Wyatt
Well,
who
it's
said he
not
found
Kent
scuba
Ham.
diving equipment.
It should be Kent Ham, but it's not.
No, so
No.
the photos I've seen is like you did not do that with scuba diving equipment. Like half of them look like they were taking shallow water. The Red Sea is not that shallow. You are not getting into the bottom of that with scuba diving equipment, right?
Not just scuba diving equipment, at least.
You know what's
No.
really interesting about that picture of the chariot wheel at the bottom of the Red Sea is that if you actually look at it really closely, there's nothing round about that. The round image is photoshopped lines illustrating the wheel as if it wasn't covered encrusted in coral.
Oh, blocky.
So there's actually nothing circular
Yeah.
there. The other thing is that water in the Red Sea is full of all sorts of little creatures that devour wood.
Cyanobacteria.
Yeah, the wood would not
love-
survive that long. No.
You know, and the only thing that would have survived, assuming they spent the time to actually make this, I don't know, I haven't seen the breakdown of an Egyptian chariot, would have been a bronze strap that is essentially the rim.
But
Yeah.
it would have to have gone literally all the way around the piece of wood. It couldn't have just been on the back, like the exterior Like it
It's
couldn't
like you
just
can
be like
find
a
a car
rim. It
wheel
wouldn't
like
just
on
be a
the
rim. It
sea
would
these
be
days. It doesn't confirm that they were there thousands of years ago.
No.
In the
But
Yeah,
Rome doesn't exist. It doesn't matter. All this is
True.
false information.
I was saying to you at my
Yeah.
dad's a while ago about like how like things like the Bible, so it was like this sort of miracle events and stuff. How like there might have been other actual natural events that could have been used as inspiration for. Like he mentioned about how so in the River Nile, there's a particular event which like happens maybe like every 10 or 20 years, where the wind can actually separate the Nile River, not the Red Sea, but the Nile River. Very rare occurrence.
Yes.
It could have been that they were referring to.
Yep.
But it's not like you can just, it's not
Yeah.
like Moses could just go and do that himself. It would be,
This is a really
people
cool
might have
thing because
witnessed.
it's a mixture of a drought, erosion, and a natural tide event. So yeah.
Okay.
So because rivers move, right? So you have dirt piling and moving and sorting. But at some point an oxbow will occur in a river where it's like so much of a warp that there will be a cut through that's going to try and do. When that cut through happens, you're going to end up with this island type thing that will actually depreciate. It will just fall and slump into the river. Now, combine a slump of that with low tide and a drought where there's no water pushing, and you'll end up with like 3 to 5 days of just this perfect path across the Nile with no liquids. It's
But
perfect.
surely that could trap all the Romans in there.
Right,
like,
yeah.
Yeah.
Like, it just casually, like, all the water can just, like, come and slam on them like that. Like, it's totally God doing
They're all
it.
the size of a gerbil.
Whoa! Oh, that reminds me. Oh gosh, I want to see this someday. There's this lady in the Midwest who was complaining that she wasn't in the river, and there was a sand pile, and she goes to step into the sand pile, and she sinks above her head into the sand pile that's in the river, because it's
not
completely covered. It's water. And there's a TikTok of her doing it, and then she just like sinks into the water.
I actually just saw. God, where was? I cannot remember. There is a wreck of a ship off of in the Thames estuary, where you cannot walk up to it because of the sinking sands. You will just straight bloop and disappear. They don't know, and it always shifts with the tide, so you can see the shipwreck.
There are underwater currents through sand in the ocean. It's
That's
cool.
scary to think.
Hey guys, I gotta pop off here. If you want, I can leave the stream live, and I'll end it a little bit later if y'all want to keep talking. I gotta feed my kids.
That's fine. We can keep
Go with
going.
that? All right. Thanks guys for coming on. It was great to meet y'all. Sorry I gotta leave.
Probably
But, yeah.
can't stay on for too much longer just because it's getting quite late for us now. It's nearly 11
Oh
o'clock.
yeah, isn't it? It's
Yeah.
yeah. Well, we
But,
can pop off if you want. We could always try and do another Saturday afternoon chat sometime.
Yeah.
Or
I mean, I'm actually, I don't think I'm actually going to be busy next week. And I mentioned I was possibly going to be at a house party as well. We're going to have to reschedule that one.
oh,
Yeah.
It's all good.
We've got one of us who he's basically in isolation because of COVID.
ooh.
So
That's unfortunate.
yeah.
Yeah.
I'm happy to do those again at some point. So
Yeah.
All right.
Oh, this
For
has been
sure.
fun.
Well, everybody, thank you for joining us. It was a lovely time.
yeah, it's been a good chat.
Scotty, we'll have to do this sometime, and then we can just do like a Discord live type chat room sort of thing. So some followers can
Whichever,
ask
yeah.
questions if they want.
All right. And
Yeah. Dadpool has
Yeah.
to go feed his kids.
I do.
Oh,
So annoying.
Well, thanks for having us on anyway.
Yeah,
thank you, Morgan, for
Yeah.
just being around. I love it when you can pop in.
I'm glad to be here. Scotty M, I love your stuff, all of it. So
Likewise, dude. I was literally just saying earlier before you came in, like, I love seeing yourself on my For You page all the time.
I love both your stuff, both of your content. It's fantastic.
Actually, I didn't initially follow either of you, but I now follow both of you. So yay!
Oh, amazing. Thank you.
Yeah, I've been following both of you for a while now.
Mm.
Yeah.
I'm on Science Talk. I don't get into the cosplay very often, so I'm sure I'm going to get a
okay.
lot of new content coming down my FYP page.
I've always really wanted to get involved with cosplay, so but I've never been able to because of my life. So I was like, live vicariously through other
that.
cosplayers.
Very time and money consuming.
It can
So,
be,
yeah,
I
very,
imagine.
big,
Yeah.
big
Money.
hobby.
What
Can't
is
take
that?
forever.
There's horses out in the yard. I don't know what money is.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
I felt that. I used to own horses, so I feel that on a spiritual level.
The most
Oh.
expensive lawn ornaments you'll ever have.
Mhm.
Yeah.
All right.
All
We're going to
right.
go ahead and end it.
Awesome.
Thanks so much again. This was a ton of fun. I appreciate it.
That's
Take
all
care,
good.
everybody.
And to everyone in the chat, thanks for coming in. Thanks for hanging out. And tune in tomorrow. We're going to have Renegade Science teacher Forrest and Shannon Q are going to be on
Cool.
both together. So that's going to be a fun episode
I get to talk to Forrest. I get to talk to Forrest.
again. All right.
Oh.
Thanks again. Good night,
All right.
everybody.
Take care, everybody.
Good night.
Bye.